You like how I just went on camera and just said, fuck it, I'm not going to do anything with my hair. Today I want to talk about the only thing that AI should be used for in go-to-market. And I feel pretty strongly about this. And I think that it causes us to look back at fundamentals, what matters to us, and it allows us to frame the value in a different way. So I think that the two fundamental values of AI are to understand ground truth, to understand what is actually happening with your customers. Forget the market for a second. And there's a hierarchy to that truth. There's what your team knows, least valuable, what the customer said, second least valuable, and most valuable is what the customer did. What are they actually doing in your app? And this is a progression closest to dollars, closest to truth, right? When people vote with their wallet. I was like trying to find my wallet, but I don't have it. I'm in a post-money world. So that's the very first thing you need to do with AI is go structure and connect all your internal data. Use Cloud Code, Codex, whatever to do it. And I create these things called customer dossiers. If you're a yearly subscriber to On the Edge, you get access to Edge Copilot, which has this skill built in. So you can just say, help me with this. And this is the most important piece. And this is like making sure that your data is right and validating it and connecting it and putting it all on a timeline. The timeline's really important, right? Where did the customer come from? What did they say on the calls, on all the calls that they've ever had? When did they become a customer? What did they do? What are the CS calls looking like? And you have that, and you can just ask questions. And so you don't have to guess like, oh, well, in the market, here's my ICP. You literally can use a statistician, Cloud Code statistician, and say, go look at the public market and benchmark it against my internal data. So look at closed won and closed lost deals, everything they ever said, everything they ever did, and then go online and see if you can find a statistically defensible piece of information that allows me to identify what a closed lost or a closed won non-churning customer looks like in the public. And then you say, great, now reveal all the truth. So do one session to put all this stuff together and then say, hey, Claude, go put these in cohorts, clear the session, and say, I want you to look at these two cohorts now and go figure out why they might be right for my product. And then go have it and merge them together. Don't tell Claude which is which. And you should probably be using parallels.ai or exit.ai as your search agent. Do not use the built-in Claude search agent. And so you do that. And then what happens is Claude will come back and say, well, this is the thing that held up. And by the way, you can embed intelligence from the calls and their actions. Look at how they do payments online, or look at any way that you can find out that they lost a big client, or look at whatever, right? The raw intelligence from the first call, ideally the first call, maybe other calls, but so then you understand what no competitor can. It's like, where are your customers and which customers are voting with your wallet, are voting with their wallet. Once you do that, you know how to build your TAM. You know how to structure it based on why people actually choose you. And this is defensible, by the way, because your competitors are going after your TAM too. But if you know why you close customers and the public data that indicates why they are good fits, suddenly you know where you should be targeting and you know what to say, because you have a very strong understanding of people that actually voted with their wallet that, by the way, on statistical analysis, don't hold up against the closed loss set. And that's your full go-to-market. That's it. And so the very first thing you do, put together all your customer actions and voices on a single timeline. Then go ask Claude to run some tests as several sub-agents and run it against close won and close lost, blend the two. And so remix this in a couple of ways so that Claude can say, okay, great. If looking at it from these four lenses, and just like one lens, like only look at close won, close lost and separate agents. One, blend them. Two, like sort this by topic and then go investigate those topics. And so if you have Claude attack this from multiple angles, it can say, great, the thing that has stood up under scrutiny from multiple angles is X, Y, or Z. Then you know what you're looking for. And so this is what AI is good for. It's good for understanding ground truth, what customers said and what customers did. And we don't do that today. And then matching that ground truth to market data, structuring a whole worlds of data by meaningful dimensions, which is actually why your customers vote with their wallet. And all this stuff that we're doing to point it at the market, the reason that the messages are so thin, the reason that you wouldn't reply to the messages your reps are sending is that you can't come to any one of those prospect interactions and provide the prospect with more valuable information than I could, than someone from the market that doesn't have all of your intelligence. And if that's the case, if you're targeting, if you're messaging, if the way in which you are going about your market does not involve any information from your actual customers, why bother? You cannot point AI at something with thin information. And that's why you need to build up your layer cake of context is first, make sure that the ground truth is good, the data is good, then compile it, then go test it, and then go validate it, and suddenly everything multiplies. And once that is the case, you get everyone in this sort of shared repo to build on top of. You have a foundation to do your go-to-market because the next person gets compound value and they can talk to all the context in your whole system. They don't have to worry about data quality. They don't have to worry about, is this put together in the right way? They don't have to worry about, is this analysis done right? Because it's been battle tested. And then the last thing I'll say is that all of this information, people love to think about AI as gathering information, but it's useless. Information is useless without action. If you know something and you aren't prepared to act on it, well, it doesn't impact anything. And so the purpose of good information is to drive better action at a faster clip, to evaluate if that action made an impact, and to improve fast. That's it. That's everything. And once you first gather all the information, you can't stop your AI go-to-market efforts there. You have to work backwards from, if I'm going to test this churn hypothesis, if I'm going to test this top-of-funnel hypothesis, if I'm going to test this upsell motion, if I'm going to test this churn reduction, how do I test it quickly, get feedback quickly, and iterate? And that's the whole ballgame. But if you don't begin with the customer, you don't begin with their insight, if you don't begin with things that are actually ground true or people voted with their wallet, then why are you using AI in the first place? Just go do the same bad thing that you've been doing for decades. The purpose of AI is to better understand, to better act, and to validate that those actions actually matter. That's it. Go do that in that order, and you will be surprised at the results that you find if you can better understand and better act. If you do those two things as a go-to-market leader, that's the ballgame. I'm going to be building on stage on a date in the coming, the 22nd? I think it's the 22nd. Hold on. Hold please. Your patience is important to us. It is the 22nd, July 22nd, here in San Francisco at 2 p.m. at Gradient Ventures, 2 to 6:30 in downtown San Francisco. Come join me, and we're going to pick a founder from the crowd, and I'm going to show you how quick and fast and wonderful and easy this is, and how the only weapon that you need is a good framework, your voice, and access to a $200 a month subscription. That's everything. Thanks so much for watching. I have heard beautiful, wonderful, kind comments from my yearly subscribers, from my monthly subscribers, and just from people on the internet. And I am just so grateful that you spend your time and attention here watching and learning. And I want to congratulate you for being on the edge, for educating yourself about the very latest in the tools and technologies in the go-to-market engineering space. And yeah, there aren't many people like you. So thanks. Bye.